Namaste, I'm Dr. Robert, and today on 5-ish Minutes with Dr. Robert, my subject is Dosha and Personality. Now, it would be an oversimplification to say that these two things are always connected together, because there's a lot more to personality than simply how your body is working. But it is also fair to say that the basics of your personality are always being influenced by the basics of the doshas in your body. And those are influenced not only by where you live and what kind of diet you have, but in particular by your constitution, because that's something that you continue to revert to when you are under conditions where you don't know what else to do. So most people are not one dosha only in their constitution. Most of them are two or sometimes even three predominating. But it's a little more difficult to describe, especially in 5-ish minutes, the details of how these different doshas can interact. So at the moment, I would like to simply talk about the fundamental basics of the influences of the doshas on the personality. And let's begin with Kappa, which is the easiest to understand. Kappa is made out of earth and water. Kappa is generally, and therefore it is the most associated with mass of the doshas. And in fact, people who have a lot of Kappa, it tends to take a lot of energy to get them to start to do things, to start to become enthusiastic, but they have good inertia. That means once they really get started to do something, they will continue doing it. This can be for good or for bad. They can get into a certain mindset and remain there forever and always be remembering how things were, and that could be for good or for bad. So there is a tendency in the context of a person who has a lot of Kappa in their personality to be consistent and to require stimulation in order to get that kind of enthusiasm going. But once it gets going, then they tend to continue with it. Pitta people always have a certain amount of enthusiasm. The problem with them is, because they are fiery, they tend to burn themselves out, or they tend to burn other people, or they tend to incinerate things around them, because that's the nature of fire. It's always trying to look for something to eat. And so Pitta is always looking for things to achieve, and Pitta is always looking for the next thing that it can conquer. So in the case of Pitta people, it's very important for them to recognize that this is part of their natural constitution, but it's also something that they have to be alert to and not burn themselves out or incinerate other people. So Pitta has generally consistent energy, but it's easy for Pitta people to overuse their energy, not to manage it well. Kappa people tend to not push themselves as hard as they should. Pitta people are always over pushing themselves, which brings us to Vata people. And they have a lot of energy that lasts, however, not for a particularly long amount of time. There will be a burst of energy that then will dissipate. So it's important for Vata people to learn how to gain stamina, to be consistent, and to move forward in a nice, balanced kind of way. Vata people are very good at original thinking, but they often don't have the consistency to learn how to transfer those original thoughts into something practical. That's usually what Pitta people need to do. And Kappa people are the people who generally are best at managing things, because they have that consistency naturally in them that encourages things to move smoothly. This is a very complex subject, but these are some of the basics involved. This is Dr. Robert, wishing everyone a good opportunity to pay attention to their doshas.